Hey everybody, DJ Lou here, and I realized when I put up this particular setup about a week ago, I knew I was going to get a lot of questions. It didn't fail. Some in the post, some people private messaged me, and I want to go over a little bit more detail because the picture only tells so much. And why did I go back to a modular setup to begin with? What the hell is going on? Well, let's talk about it. Now, a bit over a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to go with the modular design anymore. I really didn't have the need anymore. I thought to basically interchange my mics and whatnot, I felt that two identical boxes would be satisfactory. So I went ahead, I bought some Gator boxes, and I'll actually throw the picture right here of those. It was a nice setup. It was a good looking setup, but it had some fairly substantial problems. One, they weren't as shallow as these SKB cases. These are the SKB shallow rack cases in 4U and 6U flavors. And I realized that after I loaded everything in the Gator box, everything was very, very front heavy. Adding the additional mics in it, having the additional width to it, trying to carry it around was kind of a pain in the ass. It actually wasn't that heavy. The cases are much lighter than even these SKBs. Another issue that I ran into was the front panels of the Gator cases themselves. They have these lower clips and basically help to secure it in. Hated it. I thought it was a really poor design. I was always fumbling around trying to get it to connect. A lot of times it wouldn't line up properly. It was a real just pain in the ass. And then lastly, I ran into actually a couple issues this year where I knew I was going to need more than 4 microphones. And one just literally happened this last Friday. I've circulated the video of some of what the ceremony sound and all that was, but I was going to be looking up to 8 microphones. So how do you keep on swapping between 4 microphones? Well, you have interchangeable boxes. And I realized eventually I do want to go to the Sennheiser EW DXs. They're coming out with a 1U model to have 4 mics and a 1U chassis. This is perfect for me. I'm likely to go that when that comes out, hopefully this later fall. So hopefully next year I'll have that. But I needed a solution for now. And especially with that wedding coming up, and I have one more wedding this year at least, that's going more than 4 mics, I needed this interchangeability. So let's zoom in on this a little bit more and get into a bit more detail. All right, so what we have in here is, of course, my UI-24. I've had this for some years now. Absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite pieces of equipment that I've invested in. My IEM and a power distribution unit. You'll see here I have an antenna clip here because I actually have a Omni mic that I can raise up in the Toad. Now, as you can see, I can easily put in my mics in here. So this would be the normal configuration. I'm just gonna swap this out for a moment. Click it in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, get twisted right, and 5. So super simple. 4 microphones, of course, with my antenna splitter. The antenna splitter powers all these, so inside the box is actually very neat. Now I do have just my quarter waves on here. I have half waves at my disposal. I also have my shark fin if necessary. I actually have a whole second mount for that if I want to put it in the Toad, and I've done that before. But the quarter waves in about 95% of the cases work well for me. But this is just a nice compact setup. Allows me quick patching, and of course, thanks to Ben Stowe for all the cables, the patch panel, and the works. And I always have to have my own little, fun with it, naming it and all, little ode to my hip hop background and all that. And of course, Back to the Future. Anybody who's seen my power video knows what 121 gigawatts really means in my parlance. But this is the simple setup. So now what I can do is, all right, I need to put these mics in the ceremony rig. Again, super simple, disconnect, let these fall, slide out, and go. All right, now coming over to the ceremony rig, again, my digital box below, my normal 4U box of mics that's dedicated for the ceremony. but now of course I have the additional bank of mics as necessary. Very again simple. I have some slightly longer cables. These initial cables are 16-inch lengths, so it gives me enough of a bulbous to not have a lot of tension on the end and all that, so that's why you see that little bit larger loop on it. These are 2 foot, so again, simply plug in, just kind of line up so it neats it all up. And voila, and again, I'm a neat freak, so I'm always just kind of bundling things as best as I can. Hook up the power. So this is a 30-inch power con that reaches up to this level. This other power con that I have, and I also have in the other box, what length is this? I believe it's 2 foot. This is 2 foot. And now I'm ready to go. Really, really simple. I actually have these cases tied into the casters below. So really easy portability. Again, something new coming out soon for that. But while this isn't necessarily quote unquote as neat as the Gator setup that I had, because all the cables were tucked in, I think this gives a nice, almost, industrial aesthetic to it, that it's functional, things are working, it still has a neat look to it and all. And I'm really, really happy with the final outcome of this. And again, I can roll this anywhere, even without this being, strapped down to the rest. These have some very deep grooves in it that helps to interlock. These are actually much better, I think, than the Gator. The Gator had a much more slicker surface, so things would slide a bit more regardless. But again, just something really, really easy to manage. Again, a little bit of node, KRS-One, plug 2, third bass, and funky 4 for this panel. Plug 1, takes 2, 3 times dope, and fearless 4 for that. Fight the power over here as well. I like a little bit of comedy in my, I try not to take things too seriously overall, but this is a setup, and now I can run 8 channels. Now I did have some people asking, what about doing my shark fin over here? Now I could wire this, so I essentially chain these ASAs up, or I can actually, instead of having diversity, run 1 on each, but I don't necessarily want to do that. So I've been lucky enough so far that everything that I've needed has been well within the range of the quarter waves. Again, I've got the half waves that I can put on this as well. But if necessary, I can always buy a second fin and just basically run 2 fins off of this. Wouldn't be too bad, other than the price. The price of a typical fin now is like $650 or $700 for the RF venue model. But I've been, again, very, very happy with the way this is all, kind of comes together. Keeps it simple. If I have to climb upstairs, I can simply disconnect things. And I also do run 2 setups sometimes. And when I run 2 setups, this ceremony rig becomes my primary rig for my DIY case. So I naturally keep 1 bank of mics and everything in my Toad, and then I can bring this second rig up to wherever I need to. I actually just had to do this on Friday, so keeps it nice, keeps it simple, keeps it organized. All these cables, like these extra long cables and all that, I keep inside of my DeWalt case, so that way everything just quickly grab and go. Otherwise, everything kind of just sticks around and is just ready to connect and everything. Nice and simple. Now, as always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. It helped out the channel. Of course, if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell as well, so that way you get all the updates. Comment below. Engagement really helps with these posts. But otherwise, stay tuned for more.